Good morning, everyone.
Morning, Rabbi.
We're learning Mishna Sotah, Parak Test, chapter 9, the middle of Mishna Tesvav, Mishnah 15. And we're up to where it says, Mi Shemeis Rabbi Gamliel Hazakin. From the time that Rabbi Gamliel the elder died, meaning there were a number of Rabbi Gamliels. This was the original Rabbi Gamliel, the first Rabbi Gamliel. When he died, Batal Kabbalat Torah, the honor for Torah ended. Umei Sataru precious, and purity and abstinence died. Now, what does it mean when Gamliel passed, the honor of Torah ended? The explanation is given the following. Until that time, people were strong, and so they would study Torah standing. But after Rabbi Gamliel died, people became weaker and would study while seated. The honor of Torah was thus diminished. So that is an interesting idea. That somehow, with the death of Rabbi Gamliel, people became weaker, and therefore they could not study Torah in the more honorable way of standing instead of sitting. So that's the first part where it says, when he died, the honor of Torah was ended. And then it says, an interesting wording, and purity and abstinence died. It doesn't say batal, it doesn't say it ended, it says it died. Now, they explain here on the bottom, the explanation is the following. The Mishnah does not use the word batal ceased as it did before, because that would imply a complete stop. This cannot be said about purity and abstinence, because they were practiced by Tanoim, meaning the sages, in later generations. The Mishnah points that when Gamliel died, he left no one alive who excelled in these qualities as he did. Meaning when it comes to tahara, purity, what we refer to as ritual purity and purity, and precious abstinence from partaking of worldly pleasures, he excelled. So it says it died with him because it died means when he died, his level of that died. But not to say that no one practiced it anymore. Next, Bishameis Rabbi Shmuel ben Pavi. When Rabbi Shmuel, the son of Pavi, died, Batal Ziva Kahuna, the splendor of Kahuna ceased. Now, we said splendor before. Actually, it was used by. No, it doesn't say that. But okay, the explanation here is that the splendor of Kahuna ceased because he was a wealthy Kohen who hosted many Kohanim at his table, and therefore that was the splendor. That was it means the splendor of Kahuna. He, as a wealthy Kohen himself, he hosted many Kohanim at his table. That was the splendor of Kahuna, and that ceased when he passed away. Mishameis Rabbi, when Rabbi died, Rabbi is Rabbi Yehuda Hanas, Rabbi Yehuda the Prince, who was the person who he was the editor of the Mishnah. It says when he died, Batla Anava v'yiras chet, humility and fear of sin ended. Meaning no one had it like he had it. Sounds like even more. It sounds like, again, from the wording we had before, difference between Batal and Mesa, it would sound like there was a complete stop to humility and fear of sin, which is interesting to understand that. But at least the level that Rebbe practiced, the kind of level that Rebbe had of humility and of fear of sin, that ceased with his dying. Now, there should be an obvious question here. Who edited the Mishnah? Rebbe. And he said on himself that when he died, Anava was lost. If he died, he wouldn't have been saying it, right? So therefore, they explain here that he could not have been the one to have done it, but his students added it after his death. Okay, next. Now we get into a part of the Mishnah that deals with the negative effects of destruction of the Beis Hamikdash. When Pinchas ben Yair Omer, Pinchas the son of Yair said, Yishchar Beis Hamikdash, from the time when the Beis Hamikdash was destroyed, and again, this is the second Beis Hamikdash. Baishu chaveru b'nei chayrin v'chafu reisham. That translate as Torah scholars and free men. Free men here means people of pure ancestry. That means they didn't descend from slaves. They didn't descend from mamzerim. That's what it means, free people here. It means people of pure ancestry. At that point of time, Baishu chaverim, the Torah scholars and the free men have been put to shame. V'chafu reisham, and their faces are covered. They explain that to mean here, they remain poor and weak, while arrogant mamzerim who are wealthy become strong and powerful. Meaning you've got the people that should have the power and the strength, they are weak, they're powerless, and those who are arrogant are the ones that are in charge. V'nedaldulu anshe ma'aseh, and people, men of great deeds, become weak. V'gavru balei zerah balei lashon, while strong men and slanderers have become powerful. The strong men physically attack the righteous, the slanderers verbally attack them, and that's the situation that's going on. Once that kind of drop in the spiritual environment of the Jewish people, this is what the situation turned into. Ve'ein doiresh, ve'ein mavakish, ve'ein shoyo. No one seeks, no one beseeches, no one asks for the good of the Jewish people, which again they explain here to mean no one seeks to benefit the Jewish people, no one beseeches God to have mercy upon them, and no one asks about another Jew's welfare. The situation is really falling apart. Upon whom shall we rely? Avinu Shabbat and our Father in heaven. When all things basically in our lives are becoming too weak to rely upon, who do we have to rely upon? On our Father in heaven. Now, we always have to be relying on our Father in heaven, even when we do have the strength to take care of things. But in a situation where we know that we have our efforts have to be put in, but we're helpless, we have to still retain that hope and our strength from the fact that we rely on our Father in heaven. Next, Rebbe Lezer HaGadol Omer. Rebbe Lezer the Great said, from the day the Beis Hamikdash was destroyed. So what happened, he's going to describe how the level of Torah scholarship began to decrease. Sharoi Chakimai Lemeveka Safraya. Chakimai means scholars, began to be like Safraya. Safraya here doesn't mean scribes. Safraya was the word used for school teachers, the ones who taught little children. So those who were scholars began to become like school teachers. The school teachers are not as scholarly as the wise, but because without the Beis Hamikdash, the level of Torah scholarship decreased to the point where the scholars became like the school teachers. The Safraya Kachaznaya, the school teachers became like Chaznaya. Here, chazan means there's a chazan who leads the davening, but it means the ones who took care of the shul. Synagogue attendants, they call them here. We refer to them as like the shamis, I think so. Yeah, it'll be like the shamis. The chaznaya ka'amad da'ara, the synagogue attendants became like the commoners. The amad da'ara oslav and the commoners become gradually weaker and weaker. And again, the same statement as before. The mavakish, no one seeks to stop their decline. Upon whom shall we lean? Upon whom shall we rely? Upon our Father in heaven. Okay, we'll stop here and we will continue tomorrow, Mitzvah Hashem. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Rabbi.